Hey, hi, it's Friday. Welcome back. So we had an interesting week. Monday we talked about taking things to excess and how that can start to cause some brain problems. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we took a look at that book by Brent McKee, that My Curious Brain book, and we're just going to finish that up today. And really, what I've been trying to get people to understand is that we always have capacity to control what's going on with us. We have the power to control our thinking. And it's our uncontrolled thinking that gets us into trouble when our dino brain or our monkey brain starts to take control of things and doesn't let our wise owl brain manage stuff. That's when we get into trouble. And one of the things that drugs and alcohol do is they create a significant disconnect uh, between those first two parts, uh, the lizard brain and the mammalian brain, and that neocortex, the human brain, and and so it doesn't get to do its job. So when we left off yesterday, we were just talking about belly breathing and how that can bring us back to the present. And I've talked to several people the last few days that are dealing with anxiety, and we've talked about how breathing can get us back into the present when we're feeling anxious about stuff. Usually it's about something that is in the future, something that's outside of our immediate control or even our immediate capacity to know that that's even going to happen. But we start thinking things, and then those things bother us, and then we start reacting to that bother that we've created ourselves. And so we get ourselves into trouble. So we looked at the last thing we looked at yesterday was that belly breathing piece, that using our breath to bring us back into the present. Because as soon as you do that, your amygdala, your dino brain, relaxes. Because okay, we're safe. That thing that we were thinking about isn't real. It isn't happening. And and so then there's some other stuff we can do. I'll look at a few things here, and and do some thanks uh, for the book that they let me use for this. It's very generous. So there's that. Oh, I gotta one more thing. Um, yeah, it's there. It is. Um, that's that belly breathing stuff that I just talked about. So anytime you're bothered, if you start with that, and you don't, like I said before, you don't have to lie down, but um, anything that brings you into the present, you can blow bubbles. Uh, Even adults like to blow bubbles because you blow the bubble and you watch it. And that's right now. And that becomes something that relaxes you. And that relaxes all of the parts of your brain. It's entertaining, it entertains the monkey. The lizard feels that things are pretty safe. And the owl thinks this is cool. And so, I mean, that's simply one thing. And the other thing is, and I think that this is more important than people realize, is to create some time for yourself every day. If you're constantly interacting with people, even if they're people that you like, if you're constantly, answering questions or having discussions or doing things with people, you don't get time to just settle and relax. So, uh, a little bit of time by yourself is really useful. And if you do that later in the day, that'll help settle you down to go to sleep easier if sleep's a problem for you. And uh, like spend some time with somebody that you like, somebody that likes you, because that feeds us. Being loved and nurtured by somebody that cares about us uh, is really important. And so whether that's a friend or a family member or a grandma or somebody that matters to you, but you also matter to them, uh, that helps feed part of our need to connect with people. Um, look for things that you like to do. Things that you like to do, things that feel good for you are really important. And it doesn't have to be something that anybody else likes. Uh, like I just love going out and taking pictures. And not everybody sees all the pictures that I take, but I just find that experience really relaxing. And I stay very present and I'm just kind of thinking about what I'm doing. Uh, there's a link on the bottom here. If you go to sasprevention.ca, skprevention.ca, there's brain development exercises for kids. And then there's two uh, sort of worksheet things that you can use in this workbook. And like I said, if you get a hold of SAS Prevention Institute, they will connect you with this book. The sensory bottle thing is another uh, uh, kind of an interesting thing to make. It's sort of a really cheap version of a lava lamp, but just something that's totally easy to look at. Uh, and uh, talk to people about what's going on with you or what's going on with them. Like, help people connect to how they're feeling so that you can start to talk about it. Because if you don't talk about something, if you don't recognize what the problem is, it's really difficult to fix it. And there's the cover of that book again. So thanks to Brent McKee for getting a hold of me, telling me about this, because I hadn't heard about it before. So I really appreciate that, Brent. And thanks to SAS Prevention Institute for uh, uh, getting it printed and getting it out there. So, I guess the only other thing that I want to talk about is somebody said to me yesterday that sometimes I make this stuff sound too easy, that it isn't that big a deal to change. And in one way, it's a significant issue for people to change, but it's way easier than we think. One of the big problems is we think we can't do something. We think that we're not going to be able to, like it's too much. I said a few weeks ago we were talking about nicotine, and one of the problems with trying to quit smoking is we've been completely convinced that it's really hard to do. It's not that hard, but because we believe it's that hard, it makes it more difficult. So our belief system is a thing that controls us. But our belief system is changeable. We can alter that. And it's that uh, neocortex, that owl brain, that allows us to do that. That's the thing that if we start to exercise it and if we start to use it, we can start to change. And I've said this a few times over the last few weeks, the evolutionary principle here is adapt or die. That's been true since the beginning of, of life. Things that can't adapt die. And so when we're faced with change, or whether that's a big system change on the outside of us, or whether it's something inside of us that we need to change, uh, we absolutely have the power to work on that. We can do this. And the number one thing is to recognize that I've got a problem with my thinking. You're not a bad person. You're not weak. You're not anything else. It's just a thinking problem. Or if you look at it differently, a learning problem. You learn something the wrong way. You learn how to react the wrong way, and so you can learn something new. So you admit that there's a problem, and uh, you accept that I'm going to have to do some stuff different to get myself out of this problem. So I really hope you have a good weekend. I'll be back on Monday. I've said this a few times too. If there's anything that you'd like us to discuss on here that I haven't, uh, uh, send me a message, email me, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. And I'll try and pull something together to help you solve whatever problem you've been working on. So again, thank you for listening to these and have a good weekend.